Hello, this is your host, Tracy K, and welcome to the Be Your Own Bank Now livecast. Now, this is our inaugural livecast, and before I get into what we're going to talk about, let me introduce myself. As I said, I'm Tracy K, and I wear a lot of hats. I am a serial entrepreneur, so let's not be confused. I do more than one thing. I am passionate about helping people uh, just learn things that you might have helped them not get ripped off with money, travel, insurance. These are three things that I'm very passionate about helping people. And the way that I do that is I am a travel agent. I am a specialist in travel protection insurance. And I'm also a specialist in travel planning. And also, I specialize in helping people protect their life and particularly their money. And I come to this, I want to help people because I want to keep you from going through some of the same things I went through, things that I wish I'd known 20 years ago, or I wish I knew to avoid now. I love sharing insights and information, which is how this podcast came about. So, Be Your Own Bank is about money, the M word. So we talk about interesting topics here. We're going to be talking about thoughts about money, how your thoughts about money can influence you, um, different insights, interesting guests. And today, I have a very special guest that I'd like to introduce who's going to talk about just that. And I think it's fitting that our inaugural podcast is called Money is a State of Mind. And joining me here in the studio is the incredible Rina Lang coming all the way from Buenos Aires, Argentina, where it's storming and raining. So if she seems a little dark in the background, that's why it's that way. So welcome, Rina. Tell us about yourself.
Hi, Tracy. Well, thank you for having me. Yes, I'm jealous of your lightning. So it was either this or looking orange. I don't have a good light here right now, and it's storming outside. Usually it's nice and sunny, but not today. So, yeah, thank you so much for having me here. So, my background is in finance and consulting. So, as most of you probably, you're very, very good at making money when you're working for somebody else. And I had to learn it the hard way. So, I understand finances, I understand how money works. But when I decided to go solo 5 years ago, then I realized how quickly money can crash. And so, as a result of that, for the last couple of years, I was really trying to understand money. I tried law of attraction, I tried all those different techniques that are out there, and they didn't work for me. So, 2021 was actually the worst year, one of the worst years of my life, and definitely one of the worst years of my life when it comes to my financial solvency. And I tried a million different things and nothing was working out. I was working 7 days a week, 16 hours a day, and spinning wheels. And that's when I also realized that working hard and working much does not really translate in having a lot of money. So now I work only 3 days a week. I only work from Tuesday to Thursday, and I have more money than I ever had. So something has changed and shifted. And that's why when I was talking to you, Tracy, before, and these are some of the conversations we had before, I truly subscribe to the idea that money is a state of mind. So
And let's talk about that too, because, it sounds like you've been through, like me, both of us are entrepreneurs and we've tried this, we tried that. But would you agree the biggest thing, like, I think you're going to talk about this in a minute. I'm going to ask you about why you chose this as a profession, but I'll bet you know. Through this learning experience, you're like, did you have that moment like I did where you just wake up and go, I've got to help people know what I know. I've been through this and I want to help them. So is that why you chose this profession, or was there another reason?
I didn't even have to choose it. People were finding me because you just have conversations. I love having conversations with people. And we all have similar problems. In a nutshell, it's always money, relationships, and a number of other problems. But in a nutshell, it's always money and relationships. And so I was just having conversations with people because I was trying to help myself. I was trying to figure out, why am I constantly facing that cliff where I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to eat tomorrow because I don't have the money. And so I was trying to learn as much as possible about it. because needless to say, I wasn't even at that stage where I was thinking about money to invest and how to plan my goal, and keep my golden nest. I was at that stage of, I don't even know what I'm going to eat tomorrow. So let me figure that out. And the first step is really spending some time understanding what your money stories are. And there is nothing new. I'm sure you've heard this before, but probably some of the ideas that I'm going to give you is you got to dig even deeper than you thought. It's not just about things like I can only make money working for others. Well, you probably have a lot of beliefs and opinions that you can never do it on your own. You will never be able to make money on your own because maybe your boss told you will not survive without us. You will never succeed without us. Well, you probably bought into that belief, and you can never succeed, make money going solo. Yes.
So let me just, and I love that. So let's dig into this a little bit. I think what you said was very important, at least been in my experience, those of us that have been in corporate America for even most of our working lives. I know I was, and I did very well. But it's a funny thing. Our mindset is very different. You talk about a very hand to mouth experience. If I don't have this and produce this myself, then therefore I don't have the money to buy whatever it is that I need. But in the corporate situation, and this is important to note, I think our thinking about money gets a little bit diluted in that regard. Well, big time, really, because would you agree? I got a paycheck, and I got a paycheck not because I went out and did whatever it was. It's because my title indicated to the company that I was worth this much money. And
Yes.
yeah, but so when you switch from that, and then you go and try to do something on your own, and it's like, oh, well, that paycheck's not showing up. Now, how do I produce for myself? And that's the struggle that you went through. So, what would you say? What's the biggest myth that you've learned about
The
money?
biggest myth is, I think the biggest aha moment for me was realizing that I am the source of my money. So when you are working for another company, that company is feeding you. The money, the paycheck comes from that company. They're the source of your money. And or you're praying to, I don't know, God or whoever you believe in. You think always some other being, entity, boss has your money. And so you are disempowered in your relationship with money. And that's the biggest mindset change that I had. Let me explain this to you. For instance, everybody's familiar with energies. We get energies by eating food, getting it from the sun, and sleeping, and we're getting also energy from other people. Everybody's familiar with that concept. We steal energies from other people until you start learning meditation. Once you start learning meditation, you realize, no, I have access. There is this other energy available to me. I can tap into it, and I'm no longer getting drained by people, and I'm never getting tired. So I used to be tired all the time because I'm an introvert. But ever since I started meditating, I started realizing I don't have to steal energies from other people anymore. I can fully access the energies somewhere else. The same as with money. How many wars are being fought over money? Because we always think somebody else has the money, be it other countries, be it another person. So there is this belief, there is this limited pie of money available.
And there isn't.
And there isn't. And for us to have more money, we either have to make war on other people, steal it, cheat them out, beg them for it. Somehow, somebody else has our money. Until I realized that it's exactly the same as your own energy. When you start meditating, there is all that energy available. And I'm the source of my energy, but also I'm the source of my money. So if the energy is the same concept, the energy of money is the same concept, that it's available, it's unlimited, and there's an unlimited pie and I can just access it. The question is, why don't I have that money? What are some of the beliefs that I need to eliminate from my consciousness so that I can close the gap, not only between me and my money, but between me and the money I actually want to make? It's not closing the gap between me and, let's say, $1,000 a month. No, I want to close the gap between me and $10,000 a month. And then I want to close the gap between me and $100,000 a month and $1 million a month, which means what is between me and that money? What opinions, beliefs? And it could be anything. It could be, I'm not the source of my money. Somebody else has it. So that's a big one. Once you shift that and you fully understand, no, I'm a karmic billionaire. There are billions on my karmic bank account. But why am I not accessing it? Because everybody cheats and steals from me. If I suddenly start having my millions here in my pockets, chances are I'm going to be robbed. I was traveling to Argentina. I was just traveling to Argentina last weekend, and I was freaking out because everybody told me I gotta carry lots of cash with me. I never carry lots of cash because I use my credit card. So having, you know, thousands of dollars in my pocket, it's uncomfortable because somebody might steal. You spiral into
I'm
this
traveling
belief.
with you.
Yes, I'm gonna be. Yes, yes. You are the one. You are the one ensuring people, making sure they have good trips. But imagine me traveling with so much money. It's very uncomfortable, and all kinds of stories were popping up. People are gonna cheat me out of my money, steal it from me. I'm gonna be robbed in a taxi, and where are you uncomfortable having more money because you cannot trust yourself? I'm going to waste it. Where you cannot trust yourself, you're going to do right by that money, you're going to do the right things. So there's so many rabbit holes you can go deep.
Let's talk about one of those rabbit holes. Now, you said something, let's back up a little bit. When you were talking about, you know what, I don't have to steal energy from other people. I've been able to tap into the source. But here's the thing about that. It's not always necessarily about you stealing from other people. It's sometimes the people you're around will grab yours.
Yes.
And you can end up taking on some of theirs, like there's a vacuum, if it makes sense. If you're around certain people that have certain beliefs and you spend time with them, they get that kind of thought pattern can start influencing you. So that's another way that energy can work against you.
Why you're creating that situation, that's a big one for me. I travel a lot in Latin America, and now that I finally understood how money works and I'm able to receive much more money, I go around the streets and I look at all those poor people. I have a choice where I distribute my money and give it to the poor, or I'm feeling so compassionate toward people, I was totally inviting people to steal it from me because I know there is more where it came from. I can always make more money, but I feel so compassionate for all those people. And one of the ways I was distributing money is actually inviting them to steal it from me. Now I canceled out that belief and that need to be robbed so that I continue sharing and caring. And now it's my choice. I just choose to go and share my prosperity. It's no longer being inviting other people to cheat me out, because often I'm so compassionate for other people that, oh, they don't have, but I have. I'm so blessed. And I figured out, I finally understood what kind of mindset I have to have more money, but other people don't. So no longer inviting those people that will cheat you out or
Well,
steal from you.
now, okay, so that is great perspective from an other person perspective. But one of the things, thinking about the state of mind, money is the state of mind. The other thing too, and I hope any of you out there listening, I'll bet you can identify with this, and maybe you can too, Rena. It's just that the things that you think yourself, like for example, you could spend like, I won't tell you how old I am, but you think about the next 10, 15 years, am I going to run out of money? That's a big one. People worry about that all the time. And it's no wonder, because look what the news is full of and all of this. So you can get trapped into that too. So I think you have to have your own private manifesto. Now you have described beautifully what your manifesto is. So, for example, let me tell you what mine is on that one. So I said, for me, my belief system is I believe in God, and I have been blessed. I've never starved a day in my life. Praise his name. I've always had clothes. I've had a place to live. I've had great opportunities and continue to have them. And so I'm like, you know what? I serve a great God, and he's able to help me because I've got gifts in me, as we all do. And I think that's something we need to stop focusing on the fear of what can happen and understand that God made you who you were, and you have all kinds of talents and gifts. And I'm sure you discovered that too, because this is how you attract people. That's your superpower that you're always telling me. I have a superpower. I think that's one of yours. You attract people to where you can do things that you didn't think you could do. Like, for example, I was an engineer for almost 20 years at a corporation. And when I stepped away from corporate America because I was ill, and I said, you know what, I can't do this anymore, I walked away from a big salary and took a package. And because I recognized that I just couldn't do it anymore. But the funny thing happened is that when I did leave, I said, now who am I? Because for so long, I was Tracy, the engineer. Right? Has anybody ever felt like that? Have you felt like that? I was this for so long, and now I'm nobody because I don't have this anymore. So I think part of that is you got to realize too, it's like, wait a minute, I might actually be able to do some other things that I never thought about because I identified so plainly with my occupation and the company I was with. I think that the creative part of us has to begin to come out to where you're not afraid anymore, because we were just talking about hand to mouth. So now, hand to mouth isn't necessarily a bad thing. You use your creativity to create money so that you can help others and yourself. And I think
Yes.
that's a beautiful thing. So
Mhm.
go ahead.
And there are two things that I've got to say to that. So first off, um, I'm not very knowledgeable about the Bible, but one verse I really like is that take care of today, tomorrow is going to take care of itself. I really love this phrase. So when I was at my worst and I had like $10 on my bank account, and some poor person comes and asks me for the money, but still today I'm okay. I'm fed. Today I'm okay. And just giving away that money, I'm not saying you should give away your last $10. I did that, but I'm not saying you should. It's really depending on you.
Mm-hmm.
But at that time, this verse kept coming to me, and I'm like, but today I'm okay. I have a place to sleep, but that person doesn't. So let me give that person that money. And surprising things would happen on the next day. I would sell something, and boom, $200 would be on my bank account. But and so many times when it came to making that decision, are you going to share? Because you want to be a river when it comes to money. You always want to be a river. You don't want to be a dam. You don't want to be piling up, and because that's going to take you down. You want to be flowing. And one of my issues is like still flowing, but keeping also to myself a little bit because I'm very generous, and I think that's why things I keep flowing really, really well for me. But also one of the things I'm still working is on keeping a little bit more for myself and building up that nest. But at least I figured out already this part of the game and this sharing, and today I'm okay. So that's one thing. And second thing that I was going to say, kind of like addressing what you've been talking about, being supported and flowing with those things. And the for those of you who are entrepreneurs, I know Tracy, you're a serial entrepreneur. That's great. But one thing you got to understand, when you go solo, it's probably the biggest developmental journey you will ever do. You will never be able, never, I don't want to say never, but I think it's very, very, very hard to succeed as an entrepreneur without really looking deep inside. I also, when I left my last consulting job, I was like, who the hell am I? I didn't know if I like pizza or pasta, if I like, and I lived in Asia on top for a long, long time. So it's a very, very different culture, and I tried to adapt myself so much that I completely lost myself. But it forced me to embark on this journey of figuring out who I am. And there is one phrase that I really like, is that external successes are always precipitated by internal successes. So for you succeeding in something without finding back to yourself, to your own authenticity, I always tell my clients, what are the things that you love doing and you can spend hours and hours and days at an end doing? That's what you want to focus on, and I will help you monetize it, because I guarantee you, whatever you love doing, and you could spend hours and hours, and regardless how, maybe it's playing with Legos, it doesn't matter. If you love doing it, I guarantee you can find other people who will support you in your vision and will give you the money for it.
Now, can I also? Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Yeah.
No, but I think what I wanted to just make a point here. Now, one of the things that you and I've worked on, and you've talked about from the beginning, and you just said it beautifully. It's you have to find out who you are. You would always say, and I think this is one of the great things that Rina does in her coaching with people, is that she says, stop trying to do you and start trying to be you. So, what she says is you must be true to yourself. And sometimes, like you said, both of us were in a similar situation. You were in a consulting gig, I was an engineer, and we always have this veneer that we put on because we have to present this in the situation we're in. But it's funny, you never take time to find out exactly what's behind that veneer because you haven't had to. You're too busy going. Then when you step away and you're like, now who am I? And that is the first thing. She's right. You have to solve it. And sometimes it's not overnight, I can tell you. It's a constant, would you agree? It's a constant. Now, is this that I'm doing true to who I am? Or is this because somebody told me I need to do it this way? Because if you try to do business, if you try to do, it's going to be harder to step into what you were meant to be doing and what you can help people with and monetize it versus if you're just being who you are. And that is the toughest thing. I think each of us has to discover who we are. So let's talk about that in a minute. So if you were to, what is one good tip that you could give to the audience about, okay, if what would you tell them if you need to be yourself instead of do yourself? What's something you can tell them about that?
You never ever force anything on your system. That's one of the rules that I had since my consulting days. If you want to do something and you have to force yourself to do it, it's not flowing. It means that's not the door for you to walk through. You might want to backtrack a bit, and spending that time pushing yourself, forcing yourself, procrastinating on things. I procrastinated for years, so I know what it feels like hating yourself for procrastinating and spinning wheels on not achieving anything. I suggest if you are in that place and space where you're trying to do money, do your business, do something, and it's not working, you're not getting up energized, ready to get that stuff done, you're spinning wheels, you have to brainwash yourself into opening your laptop and start working.
Sounded like my whole working life. What are you talking about?
Stop that and focus on being yourself. Meditation, find a coach who can help you really with your inner game, really help you unravel, unleash, unblock what is really not working with you so that you can show up one day for yourself and feeling like I'm the happiest person I am. I really love who I am, but also I finally have figured out what is it that I love doing. A good coach that is very good in a game can really help you figure out who you are, what you love doing. Start with that. First, go back to you. You are your home. Sort out all the stuff at home. Put everything on the right places. Clean up the house. You will get farther spending 1 month doing that than spending 6 months procrastinating, spinning wheels, and you still nowhere closer to your goal and you hate yourself.
So let's do a step by step on that. So just a real quick tip on that. You mentioned a couple of things. You have to basically stop and stop moving, and you have to sort of get acquainted with yourself.
Yes.
You need to clean up your surroundings, like your house. That kind of helps put you. What does that do for you?
Inside.
Oh, that kind of house. Oh, good.
One of the best things, no. One of the best things that I discovered is journaling. Journaling, morning pages. It's from the book The Artist's Way. And so
oh, yes.
what I was doing is writing. And for the first 6 months, it just was me complaining about the sky and the moon, basically anything and everything. But you see, our consciousness is populated with all those things, negative things, positive things. And you gotta start unwrapping the stories behind it. If you don't like vanilla ice cream, why don't you like vanilla ice cream? Start writing about it. Your dislike of vanilla ice cream is going to tell you a story behind your dislike of vanilla ice cream. And every single day as you sit down and start ranting and being all negative about something, after some time, you would start getting insights. You will start getting insights and understanding of why that negativity is there, because it tries to love you in the best way it can. It tries to tell you something happened to you, some incident, something happened to you, and that's why there is that negativity now living in your environment. So journaling is also a very, very good way of finding back to yourself underneath all of those dirty clothes in your mind and all those 1,000 tabs open in your mind. There is a story behind it, and all it wants is just to tell you the story. Once you listen to that story and you understood the message, it's going to be gone forever, which means more and more peace and quiet in your mind. Imagine creating your business. Imagine creating money from that place and space rather than constantly fighting yourself and 100 people shouting in your mind all the time. Most of my clients, that's the problem. They are energetically overwhelmed and drained. That's why they can't create it.
Yeah, there's so many things coming at you. Yeah. Well, go ahead. No, you're gonna. Sorry, I'll let you finish.
One of favorite exercises, that's my favorite, my client's favorite, and I've done that with you, Tracy, as well, is that most people create money out of a lack mentality. All day long, you're meditating on my bills, my bills, my bills. I gotta pay this. I gotta pay the car. I gotta pay my rent. I gotta pay this. And guess what? Exactly that amount of money usually shows up. You usually barely, but you're breaking even. Barely, but you're breaking even because all day long you're thinking about the bills you have to pay, which means all day long you're paying off people who come for your money. You are somebody else's source of money. You keep on generating money, but it all goes down the toilet because you are somebody else's source of money. So when one thing that I do with my clients is that if you never ask for more, more is never showing up. So what you want to do is think about 500 things that you would want to do in your life, and it would make you really, really happy if on day zero you could look back at your time, at your life, and say, "I've done everything that I wanted to do, and I'm dying a happy woman or a happy man." So most of my clients, when I give them that exercise, several mistakes that happen with that exercise. First, they start thinking, "Oh, yeah, $1,000, I'll buy my wife a new coat." Or I need $500 to give it to my community. I need $500 to pay off the debt on my bank.
Oh, this is giving the money to somebody else again, is what you're saying, instead of
Yes,
saying, what would I give myself if I could do?
the thing is this,
That's
there
what
are
you're
all
saying.
kinds of religious negative programmings around poverty is good. And I should never
No, it's
ask.
not.
Okay, yeah, I'm glad you don't think about that, but a lot of people think about it's greedy. I should never ask for myself. God should know I need that. God will give me. Well, well, yeah, but are you sure? If you never ask for yourself, then how is God going to give you if you're not even asking? In the Bible, it says also, "Ask and you shall receive." But if you never ask for ourselves, then we never shall receive. So there is a lot of that guilt around asking for myself. Second is many people come back to me after 1 week and they say, "I have like 10 items. I can't think of anything else I should ask for."
You scare them when you say 500
Yes, I have
or
over 1,000.
1,000. It was 1,000.
I have over 1,000 things, and I keep on adding. Because in the past, I was exactly the same. The two things I could think of is like going to the moon and seeing Harrison Ford. These are the two things I was asking because I couldn't even, my mind wasn't even
Wait a
rewired
minute. Now,
that way.
that is something you definitely ought to unpack in the
Yes.
journal. You got to see Harrison Ford and the moon. Okay.
Going to the moon, going to the moon.
Going to the moon.
But you see, this were back then even two things that I just knew would never happen. So I was like, okay, let me say these two things because I know they will never happen. Because my dreams, I stopped dreaming a long time ago because I just thought my dreams will never come true. So why even do
Mhm.
it? So most of us, we stopped dreaming since our childhood times because
That's true,
everybody
because we're
tells
told,
us,
yes.
be realistic. Nothing is ever going to happen. And we tried the law of attraction, the manifestation, never worked for us. So
Oh,
we give up, we give up. And so we just settle for less. Let me just pay my bills and sleep on the couch, and watch Netflix. That's all I'm asking for. So we settled for less. So when I had that epiphany, that aha moment, there was one day where my mind just kind of opened up and I was start writing nonstop and I wrote over 1,000 items on my list. And nothing is too small or too big. It's not about asking for a new car. I was asking for things like, can I please learn 10 finger typing? That would make my life easier. It would save me a lot of time if I could learn 10 finger typing. Another thing I was putting there is never say I'm busy. I wanted to completely remove it from my vocabulary. I'm busy. Because if you keep on saying I'm busy, you're gonna keep on manifesting it. And I
oh, so
never.
you will be too busy to do anything that you really want to do. So now I'm going to ask a dangerous question. Of that list of what, 1,000 things or more that you already have, how many of them have come to pass for you, or are you still waiting on
No, no,
something?
a lot of them have passed, and now
Harrison Ford? Just curious.
I'm 1 degree separated from Harrison Ford. This the other day, one of my clients was telling me, I've never told you, I know a lot of celebrities. And I'm like, do you know Harrison Ford? She's like, yeah. I'm like, wow, that's already 1 degree of separation. I'm getting close. The thing is this, if I had met Harrison Ford 3 years ago, I probably would have dropped dead. So yeah, as they say, if your dreams don't scare you, you're not dreaming big enough. So I would probably get paralyzed and drop dead. Now,
Mm.
if I probably see him, I would probably gonna keep it cool. I can keep it cool. In 2 years from now, maybe I can even open my mouth and say hi. So in 5 years, maybe I can even have a conversation with him because again, I keep on working on myself. The same is last weekend I was watching the Oscars and Harrison Ford was there, so I was happy. But I was like, you know what? I'm gonna put it on my list. I want to go to the Oscars. I don't care how it's gonna get manifested, but I'm gonna put it on my list. And so, but then I started freaking out. But there are all those celebrities, and who am I to be there? But I'm like, okay, I have to work on what's in me that's putting them on a pedestal, and making them more important than everybody else. So for
Well,
me, I have.
my mother had a great saying for that. She'd say, "Don't be impressed. They put their pants on the same way as you every morning." She would break it down to biological functions, just to make it really plain. She's like, "They're not."
Which means, which means I'm not afraid of going to the Oscars. I'm afraid of the people there. So I have to work on that so that I can manifest that possibility. But now yeah.
On the money. Okay, so back to and how this relates to money, the state of mind there. So I think you've described it. You put this
And you
down on the
gotta-
list, and you
yes,
have to get to a point where they kind of mesh, where everything would come together.
yeah. So you gotta understand. So many clients come to me when I start talking to them about that. They're like, "Look at my vision board," and then I see like this beautiful car and 10 million, and that's gonna be my wife, and that's gonna be my villa. And then what I see is like there is nothing else. I'm like, there is nothing, 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 because you will not take anything less but 10 million. You will not take anything less but that house and that wife and that car, which means you're gonna get it on the last day you die because
Oh,
you're not.
that would stink.
Yes,
Oh my gosh, that would stink. So, in other words, put incremental things. So, when you see vision boards, that's true. You see vision boards, you'll see like a big dollar amount, the
yes,
biggest house you've ever seen, bigger than 3 football fields, but there's no
but
incrementals.
you gotta grow into those bigger shoes. Today you grow into $1,000 on your bank account. Tomorrow you grow into $5,000 on your bank account. The day after tomorrow, 10,000. How about you take those 10 million that you want to have and spread it out over the next 50, 60 years? Wouldn't
Oh,
be
and
much.
see, nobody ever talks about that. See, and I was just thinking that.
Yes. How much better would it be if you spread out 10 million over a 50-year period rather than getting 10 million in one go? That's what many people don't understand. And that's the process that came to me. You will not probably find many coaches talking about this because this is
No, no,
more
no.
what that I do because I was blessed with these ideas. But basically, that's what I educated them to do. And that's why you got to think in 500 things you want to have. Maybe today you will start with like, I want to have a $50 pen instead of like 50-cent pen that I use. Start putting things and not just material things. Yes, I have lots of material things on that. Like I want to have a certain house. I want to do some trips and I want to buy a new microphone for myself. But also there's a lot of things that I put on my list that are not material at first. Like I want to have harmonious relationships with my partner. Yes, it's not a material thing, but it is because I can hire a coach who can coach me and him so that we can have a better partnership, which means what is the ticket item? You got to start putting price tags on that. A happy relationship can be achieved by working with a good coach, by working with a psychiatrist, or just by having money and never fighting over money again. So you gotta start breaking down those dreams, like learning 10 finger typing. Yes, I could sit down and do 10 finger typing, but maybe I'll hire a coach who will help me and hold me accountable to learning that. Learning another language and things like that. Everything, I guarantee you, can be bought with
With
10
a
minutes.
price, because it's knowledge. So that's a good point too, because I have to tell you, whenever, through one of my businesses that I earn something, it's a great feeling
Yeah.
whenever that happens, no matter what the size of it is. It's
Mhm.
like, you know what, I have to celebrate. And that's something I want to share too. Whatever it is that you earn, it may not be as much as you want at first, but if you earn something, that is something that your productivity produced, and you should celebrate it. Wouldn't you
Yes.
agree? No matter how small or how large it is, we all want the big hits, but it's the incremental steps that get you to those big hits, because you've got to change your thinking gradually. That's what helps you. Because I have to tell you, Rena, I think what you said was important, because what I've discovered is that some people tell me, well, if you want $1 million this month, you need to put that and you need to go for it. What I felt was this tremendous amount of pressure to try to get from here all the way over there. And it's like, no. It's like, you know what? I can see getting from here to maybe over here at first. That doesn't pressure me so much, because it seems a little bit more realistic. Do you find, and I know that I do, I have a thing about that. I'm glad that you as a coach are talking about this, that you need to look at, if you want $10 million, great, whatever you're going to do with it. But between the zero or wherever you're starting and there are these incremental steps, and you need to celebrate them and you need to write them down. It's okay to say, maybe, wow, I earned $100 from my own efforts. That's a big deal. And then it'd say, well, if I did this, I can do that. And then don't you that, and that trains your thinking too.
There are two things that I have to say to that.
Okay.
So first off, you gotta figure out what you're gonna do with that money before you get it. Most people think, once I have 10,000, this is what I'm gonna do with it. No, first you figure out what you're gonna do with it. That's why we are so good at manifesting the money to cover our costs, because we know exactly what we're going to do with that money. We know exactly $1,000 is going to be this, $1,000 is going to be this. That's why we are creating the money to pay our bills. But how about you knew in advance? Like, for instance, I came to Buenos Aires. I knew exactly I have to manifest that amount of money to take with me cash. This is the apartment that I want to have, and this is the amount I'm willing to pay for. Before I'm very, very clear. I write every single day new items to my list, and I put the price tag in for it. If I already know I want to join that course, which is in 3 weeks, then I better start putting a price tag and knowing exactly how much I need to pay for it, because there is a lag time. Money doesn't come to you right away. Of course, $5, you might manifest it very easily. But if you are, in 3 months, I have to pay $3,000 for something. So you better start putting that on your list already. And I'll write it down.
Okay. So then, and that's like a budgeting thing. That could also work. So like, and this is good. This is getting into another state of mind about money. This is such a great point. So, we've talked about earning and writing down purposes for the money before you get it rather than after I get it. So could this also work with, say, budgeting? Suppose somebody wants to get out of debt, or they want to have enough to cover. They could say, okay, I need this much money. So how would that work for that? Like, if you want to completely change, a lot of people out there, let me change my situation from A to B.
Yeah. So you want to put price tags on everything in deadlines. For instance, if you know you want to pay off your credit card, what's stopping you from scheduling an automatic payment from your bank account? Let's say you want to start diverting €200 to pay off that $200 to pay off that credit card. Put an automatic payment for every 30th of the month. So you already know every 30th of the month, I have an automatic payment, $200. It's optional because it's your automatic payment. You can cancel it anytime. But you want to honor your commitments. And so if you already know every 30th, $200 are going to be diverted to pay off that credit card. So I have a whole month manifesting that money. I already know it's coming. I will have to pay it at the end of the month. So there is something just psychological happening to us because we keep on thinking about, we keep on energizing. I will need to generate those extra $200 so that automatic payment is not defaulted. And so the same is for me. I think about my upcoming payments in advance, but it's not just payments, it's actually my experiences, my joyful experiences. Like, I want to go next weekend to this beach town here in Buenos Aires. How much money do I need for a hotel? How much money do I need for transportation? I already look it up. I already know what is going to be my expense. I want to spend €300 maybe on going to the restaurants. Okay, I put €300 expense for restaurants. I want to buy a new dress. Okay, how much money do you want to spend on a dress? I think in advance what I want to experience and what I want to spend it on that is going to bring me joy.
See, that's what I do with the travel planning that I do for my clients. I get them to picture themselves there because I need to understand what they're looking for. Anybody can send you someplace, but not to have the experience that you want, you have to be able to picture it. And
Yes,
so that you from that we can say, okay, this
yes.
is what you're looking at, so I can help them arrive at a cost. So we do something similar with the
Imagine,
planning and the protection. Yeah.
so imagine you a family of five, and your budget is only $2,000. Well, of course, and you're going somewhere to Europe for 3 weeks. $2,000 is not going to happen. So, but that's why rather than limiting your experience by how much money you have, how about you create extra money for that trip?
But you have to know what that is to picture it. So for
You have
example,
to know what you're gonna spend it on. If you're going to Paris, okay, I have $2,000, but how much extra do you need to create so that I can
ah,
give myself all the experiences I want to have? How much does it cost going to Torre Eiffel? How much does it cost going there to a restaurant? I want to have a beautiful picnic with my family in front of Torre Eiffel. How much is it going to cost? You want to already put price tags on everything and calculate how much money extra do I need? Because one
mm-hmm.
drive home is that I want to drive home is that you are a karmic billionaire. You are a karmic billionaire. There is a lot of prosperity available. We have, this conversation is just about money, but prosperity is many things. Prosperity is
Yes.
health, relationships, opportunities, saving time, and there are so many ways money can come to you, avoiding accidents and gifts and invites and whatnot. There are so many ways in which prosperity can come to you.
Well,
But
yeah, and you mentioned something too. We are talking about money, but it seems like everything else that's a part of our lives, like our health and everything, that can be affected by money. Like if you
yes,
spend money on good food, or you spend money on the gym, or just different things. If you look at every aspect of your life, money comes to the fore somewhere, which is why it is important to
mhm,
have the healthy outlook on it. And you're
yes,
right. And I think we think, especially here in America, I think the lack mentality that we have is because we have worked for somebody, for so long, and you were taught, okay, this is where you get the money from here, and that's what you get. And you
mhm,
can't get more unless you move to this position. We're not really taught to create and make for ourselves.
yes.
But I really see a change coming in this country where
Mhm.
people are starting to wake up and go. And I think this, everything the last 3 years has made a difference with, COVID and everything, is that people have said, wait a minute, is my life has got to be about more than this. So have you seen that? I'm seeing people waking up wanting to discover who they are and how to discover what's in them to help them.
And you really, really, really need to spend time understanding your life mentality. Just to give you an example, on Monday, I was spending some time, I was still in Peru, in Lima, and I was spending some time with Argentinians, a couple. And so it's incredible how Argentina had a difficult situation for a long, long time. But their mentality was also complaining all the time about money and that their currency is not worth much. But at the same time, when I invited them for lunch, they were fighting tooth and nail, trying to prevent me to invite them for that meal. And I kept telling them, do not reject prosperity. Do not
They
reject
didn't want to let you invite them for lunch.
for lunch. And I had to fight tooth and nail. And they invited me we went for some drinks in a cafe later on, and they invited me. So they are so not willing to accept prosperity coming their way.
Oh, they think they should treat you, but you
Yes.
shouldn't treat them.
And I was just thinking, if there are more Argentinians thinking like them, then I'm not surprised the country is in the situation that they are. Because if you're complaining a lot about money, you're always stuck in your lack mentality. There is never enough money, and it hurts you paying that money. But at the same time, when prosperity finally comes your way, you're fighting tooth and nail. You really don't want to allow another person to pay for them. And as much as I was telling them, do not reject prosperity. You got to open up yourself. You got to be a channel. You got to be a river. Let me invite you. It gives me greatest joy to invite you. I didn't invite them because I felt pity that they didn't have money or anything. They did have the money. They did have enough money. But it just gave me joy because they were helping me with something.
So
And they helped
you wanted to
us
do for them.
joy. And so, but they weren't seeing it like it gave me joy to invite them for a meal. They were seeing it like No way, Jose.
Well,
And so how many people are like that? How many people are not open at all to
they
receive?
don't want to, yeah, it's hard to get, oh, no, 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 you don't have to pay for this. But, another point that I want to bring up is that even if, say, the $10 million that you wish you had dropped into your lap one morning, if you're thinking about money is wrong, then what will happen to you is it won't feel like a blessing, because it'll feel like, uh-oh, I've got all this money. And what's the first thing you do when you have a lack mentality? You want to go like this. You want to clutch it. So you don't, it's like everybody's going to be out to get me. I don't, I have to, and so you end up losing it in many cases
Yeah. So
because
that's
you try to hoard it, if that makes sense.
sorry. And that's the second point that I was going to make some time ago. I said that I had two things that I wanted to say. So the second thing, it kind of ties into what you're saying. Second thing is that you gotta grow into bigger money. Money is an energy that wants to be sustained. Just to give you an example, last year at some point I had 10 clients, and 10 clients is sustaining 10 people energetically. It's tough. I wasn't ready for it. So within a month, I lost almost all my clients, and I was down to two because I was acclimated to sustaining two people at the same time. Now I sustain 20 clients. It's easy for me, but because I open up my energetic container to sustain them and not get drowned. The same is money. You gotta understand, you want $10,000 a month, but can you actually energetically sustain and hold that money? Many people cannot, and we're used to sustaining, let's say, $1,000 a month. It's very easy. Let's sustain $1,000, and that's where most humanity. That's the point most humanity swims in. It's somewhere below $1,000 because that's what people are acclimated to. So for them, suddenly winning a lottery before you're ready for it, it collapses because you cannot sustain it. And that's why I'm telling people, don't ask for 10 million. Maybe today you were always making maybe somewhere $1,000, $2,000. How about you start asking for more? Pay $2,000 to pay for the bills, but start building up that capacity to open you up yourself for more, so that you can have $1,000 more, and you spend those $1,000 on the things you love doing, things that will give you joy. Open up that extra money so that you can pay for the experiences you want to have. But first, become clear: what are the 500 experiences you want to have, and how much is it going to cost you? And then you will see, you will want to open the next 1,000, because once you get into that flow and you can create that money, and you finally figuring out how it's done, how you create that extra money to pay for your experiences, you will start having bigger items, bigger experiences you want to have, which means you will want to have 2,000, which means now you're acclimatizing yourself to $4,000 a month easily. And so you learn that, and you start figuring out how to easily create it. You sustain. $4,000 is not a big deal. Then 5,000, and then 10,000, and you keep on stretching yourself.
That's fantastic. Now we're almost out of time, so I wanted to make sure we got a question answered that came in from the audience. Okay, and I'm glad this one came in, because I hear this all the time. Oh my gosh, okay, so basically it's okay, I'm getting close to retirement. And I'm scared because I just don't think, basically, I don't think I have enough money, and no one's going to hire me. If I have to keep working, it's going to be hard. How do I get myself to a better place financially to where I'm not limited? Yeah. So what they're saying is limited by what the pot of money says that I have. How do I use these principles? Let's end the show with this one. How do you speak to somebody who society says is on the, oh, well, you've had it, you're old, you can't do anything? What's the one thing you can tell them today to help them?
Again, it's like, if you are afraid of your financial future, again, if you take care of today, tomorrow is going to take care of itself. There are people that are sitting on 5 millions, and they're also worried about the future. It doesn't matter how much money you have on the bank account. People, if you worry about your future, it does not matter how much money you have, you're going to keep on worrying about your future.
Mm-hmm.
That's why, more money, bigger problems. The same problem is bigger. And regardless of where you are, start where you are and work on your relationship with money. There were so many times when I didn't have money even for tomorrow. I didn't know what I was going to eat tomorrow. 2021 was funny for me in that sense. I had clients who were telling me, "Oh, I just have money for the next 2 months, and I don't even know what I'm going to do in 2 months." I'm like, "Well, let me not tell you that I don't even know what I'm going to do tomorrow." But those situations taught me faith. I'm not saying religious faith, but faith in that everything is gonna be all right tomorrow.
So
Because
even if everything disappeared out of the bank, so Rena, what if we were in a situation and it happened that all the money that you had, let's see, the banks just went kaput and everything was gone. What would your first step be?
I know there is more where it came from.
You
People,
don't you don't have to know where, but you know that it's there.
I just know there is more where it came from. That's why people who made 1 million in the past, once they lose all their money, they easily make 1 million again because they
Mm-hmm.
know how to do it. It's
Ah,
all inside. For me, I know there is more where it came from. That's why I like sharing my prosperity because I know that person probably on the street doesn't know there is more where it came from. But I
now,
know there is more where it came from. I know how to bring it down again. I know how the game is played. I understood the game. And I keep on creating just more and more and more money and keep on asking for more and more. And for me, it's happening. I'm very, very, very good at creating that money that I need because I understood the game. That's the difference.
okay,
I
that's
understood
good.
the class, but I also cleared out of the way all the fears, all the limiting beliefs, all of that, my money stories. I've invested a lot of money to remove all my inner blockages.
Now, let me interrupt you just a second, just so that the audience knows. I have put Rena's social media information down there on the banner. You can see it. You can reach her on YouTube, you can reach her on LinkedIn. Um, she she has a great amount of videos on YouTube. Mind and Brain Power Supercharge. Oh, it's showing YouTube. Okay, didn't show all of them, but there you go. So yeah, so we were almost out of time,
You
Rena.
can also get my ebook. It's my ebook, rinalang.com/ebook, if you would like to learn more about the work that I do. So there is a number of things. I'm also do all kinds of different types of coaching.
Let me
But
put
just to
this
kind of
down.
wrap up this conversation and what the lady was, I don't know who was asking about what you do if they're facing retirement and don't know what you do about it. It's again, go back to understanding your money stories. What led you in the first place to be in that place where you don't know what's going to happen to your money? So
There's her
what
email on
are
the
the
bottom.
excellent? So what are the stories? What are some of the beliefs that you have that led you to such a place? uh,
Mm-hmm.
where you don't even know what's going to happen to you. Work on that, remove all of those beliefs, and again, you are a karmic billionaire. Just because that money is not on your bank account, it doesn't mean it's not somewhere. It is somewhere. And one of the books I always recommend people to read, Catherine Ponder. Go check out Catherine Ponder, her books, Dynamic Laws of Prosperity, and especially Open Your Mind to Prosperity. You gotta understand you are a karmic billionaire. There is a lot of money available to you because it's unlimited. It's unlimited, unlimited. It's just like what's not working, um, what's not working or not flowing in your access to it.
And the
What
other thing, yeah, and then the other thing, just to add to that, is that I have found that the more, when you have compassion for those around you, now, granted, you don't want to leave yourself out on the street, but the more that you have compassion for those around you and you look for people to help, that also helps loosen things a little bit. That opens up the floodgates for you
Yeah,
because the more you give, you know.
every single religion advocates tithing. I've been tithing for the last, I don't know, 8 years, and I had also so many breakthroughs. I was protected from so many money drains, what that could have turned into money drains. But yeah, sharing is key. Sharing is key. And I'm not
Mhm.
saying, every religion advocates sharing 10%. I'm not saying if 10% hurts and you don't even believe if it works, start with $1, start with $5. I always say, if you like listening to Eckhart Tolle on YouTube, I'm sure he's got a donate button somewhere. Why don't you donate 50 cents? €1, is it gonna $1? Is it gonna kill you? but start opening up yourself somewhere. And
That
this is
and that's wonderful. I know you have a lot to say, but on that note, we're going to thank the audience. Thank you so much for joining Rina and myself today. I will be live again next week with another great episode with another great guest, 12 noon Eastern. Keep it tuned right here. I'll talk to you soon. Tracy K, be your own bank now.
yes.